All right, it's that time of the week once again. Time for me to give you my kickers, tiers, and rankings for 25 guys heading into week 9 of the fantasy football season. Let's hop on into it. Okay, first tier up, if you're new here, if you're joining back, we hit up with our stardom every week. If you got these guys, it doesn't really matter what the matchup is. You just kind of ride with these guys. They're reliable. They play on good offenses. They make big time kicks, but we do have a couple of change-ups this week. A couple guys falling off, but let's go our must-start kickers for every week. Okay, a couple guys dropping off, but these are our 5 guys. Gotta start them if you have them. Doesn't really matter the matchup. They are too reliable on too good of offenses. Harrison Butker of the Chiefs, Kaim Fairbairn of the Texans, Younghoe Koo of your Atlanta Falcons, Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys, and my man Austin Seibert of the Washington Commanders. These guys are always a plug and play. Just start them. It doesn't really matter. They're super, super reliable. Love these guys. Okay, first up, my man Will the Thrill Reichard of my Vikings. Now, I will warn, don't ever trust Viking kickers, but Will Reichard has been absolute money this year, and he's got a Colts team coming into town on Sunday night in prime time. They did switch quarterbacks to Joe Flacco, but that doesn't really matter. This defense is not great in Indianapolis. Vikings had 10 days off as well as a return to TJ Hawkinson. I think they're going to be able to move the ball, and Will Reichard has been absolutely money, has yet to miss a kick on the season. Now, I probably just jinxed it knowing me, but this is a great matchup, not a great defense. Vikings score a lot early, especially in the first 15 plays. They get touchdowns, but then they tend to struggle, so that's where the field goals are going to come in. Will Reichard, also a monster leg at home, indoors, should have no problem kicking those 50-plus yarders. I love this matchup for Will Reichard. Okay, how about Broncos kicker Will Lutz going to Baltimore, taking on the Ravens, and the Ravens coming off a loss. Not the most ideal matchup for the Broncos, I think, but I think he's okay to start. The Ravens' pass defense has been really bad this season. There will be opportunities for the Broncos to throw the football, and if they're able to throw successfully with Bo Nix and move it, they'll be able to take those field goals. Now, Baltimore's kind of a tricky place to kick sometimes. It feels like, as we've seen with Justin Tucker this year, it's just kind of weird. I don't know, sometimes it's windy, but I think Will Lutz is a fine start here. I don't know if there's going to be too many points scored in this game, but the points that are scored are more likely to be field goals rather than touchdowns. So I think Lutz is a fine start for you guys this week. Okay, Buccaneers kicker Chase McLaughlin. I think I'm going to downgrade him a little bit. I would usually love to start Chase McLaughlin, but we kind of saw the Buccaneers offense struggle at times there, and they got a really tough matchup going to Kansas City on Monday night. Just a great defense. They don't really allow too much, and I think the Buccaneers are going to struggle to move the ball. If you can't run the ball, Tampa Bay, they really don't have much to throw to. Cade Otton's pretty much their number one guy, so it'll be tricky, I think, for them. Chase McLaughlin's been so good this year, though, so you don't really want to have to cut him. I think you can just play him this week, but be limited on your expectations. Maybe not the highest ceiling in the world, but he still could get you a good chunk of points. Okay, Matt Gay. I'm going to upgrade Matt Gay now. I'm going to put him in I love this matchup along with Will Reichard. Like I said, going to Minnesota. Joe Flacco being a quarterback is the big upgrade here. This offense is not able to move the ball with Anthony Richardson, but with Joe Flacco this year, they've been much better. They're able to move the ball up and down the field. The Vikings defense has been atrocious the last few weeks, especially in the secondary. I think the Colts move the ball. Maybe they struggle a little bit in the red zone, don't quite get those touchdowns, but they will be kicking chip shot field goals, I feel like, again, indoors. You know he's good from 50 plus now being indoors. So I like Matt Gay this week. Have a really good week. I think this is a massive upgrade without Richardson in at quarterback. Okay, Jake Bates. Yeah, I'm gonna say let's ride with Jake Bates here. You know, going to Green Bay. We don't know what the Packers quarterback situation is gonna look like, but this offense is just way too good. This is easily the best offense in football right now in Detroit. Now, maybe that limits your field goal opportunities, but a division game do tend to get a little bit grindy. We could see more red zone stops, but there's just so much movement of the football, so many points scored. It's hard to pass up starting Jake Bates, and he's as reliable as can be. Doesn't miss kicks. He'll knock them through. And Green Bay, you know, they kind of do make some plays, at home. I think it could get a little trickier maybe on the grass, but I think it's just too much of an opportunity here. Start Jake Bates. He should have a very nice day for you guys, especially with the way this offense is humming. Okay, it's like a meme at this point on the channel. My man, Greg Zuerlein, put him in the bench. Don't ever start Greg Zuerlein. We've been on it all year. I do not know how Greg Zuerlein is still employed. He's playing Thursday against the Texans, but my God, he has lost the Jets 2-3 games. Like, oh man, this is just hilarious. Don't play Greg Zuerlein ever. Don't ever pick him up, but we got to keep him for the memes. Okay, Dolphins kicker Jason Sanders. I think this is a tough one here. Miami's offense did look a lot better, but they struggled mightily with Buffalo the first time around, and this is kind of a must-win game at Buffalo. I'm going to put him in the if you have to. I just don't know if I can trust that Dolphins offense completely, and the Bills defense has been playing really, really well. They know each other very well. That's not conducive for a Dolphins offense that I think is kind of limited overall from a scheme standpoint. Tua being back helps, so if you want to ride with Sanders, I think you can, but just don't expect too much. Do not be surprised if the Dolphins get blown out and shut down in this game, because I think this offensive scheme has been figured out. I would not want to play Sanders if I were you guys. Okay, Daniel Carlson. I don't know what to make out of this game. The Raiders have been all over the place. The Bengals have been all over the place. The Bengals defense is good. The Bengals defense is bad. Carlson's been fine. I don't think I want to play Carlson this week. I think I would bench him. There's just too much viability with this offense, and the Bengals defense sometimes can completely shut down bad offenses, as well as it's outdoors, it's in Cincinnati, probably not the greatest conditions to kick in for a guy who kicks indoors. I'm just not playing Carlson. I can't trust the Raiders, and I can't risk it against the Bengals. The Bengals defense could be horrible. The Bengals defense could be great. It's just not worth the risk for me. Okay, Blake Grupe of the Saints. Saints getting Derek Carr back potentially. You know what? I think this is a fine start for them. They're playing the Carolina Panthers. This is the worst defense in football. I've been hammering home, you always got to play your guys against the Panthers. And I think the Saints, who have lost now 6 in a row, struggled mightily on offense, are just great offensively. So I think this is perfect. You got a bad defense against a mediocre offense. That means they can move the football, but maybe won't be getting those touchdowns. And Grupe's going to bang home those kicks. It is in Carolina. It is outdoors. I'm not worried about it. He's been money for us, especially to start the season. So I think he's a fine start for you guys this week. The Panthers matchup is just too juicy no matter how bad the offense has been over the last few weeks. Okay, let me give you some love for my man Chad Ryland. 3 game-winning kicks this year. He was one of the worst kickers in football last year for the Patriots, but he stepped in for Matt Prater, and I think this is a fine start. He's just been really good, and the Cardinals' offense has looked good also. They've been kicking field goals. They've been moving the football. Now, a tough matchup against the Bears. It is at home. It is in Arizona, so that does help, but the Bears' defense has been one of the better defenses in football. I think that kind of helps you a little bit. You know, Cardinals struggle to move the ball. We just saw Washington kick 4 field goals last weekend. We could see something similar to that with this Arizona team, especially with how well they've been doing. And Ryland's just been clutch, man. It's nice to have a kicker who's really clutch, who will make those big kicks. I think he's a fine start for you guys. Don't expect anything crazy just because we could see the Cardinals offense get bogged down by this Bears defense. But if you want somebody who's reliable, if you want somebody who isn't going to miss a kick, I'm thinking Ryland is a solid start for you guys. Okay, and right next to him, Bears kicker Cairo Santos. I think this is a fine start too. The Bears offense really got shut down by that Commanders defense. They really couldn't get anything going, but the Cardinals defense is not that. I expect to see better output from the Bears offense this week against a mediocre to bad defense in Arizona. I expect Santos to have a nice day, kicking a couple field goals, because the Bears offense still isn't the best. They won't necessarily be punching in those touchdowns. They will be settling for field goals. So I think Santos, another fine start in this spot for them. Expect a better performance from the Bears offensively, but I still think this team is kind of limited overall and are working through some growing pains, kind of rely heavily on the run, and the Cardinals have been excellent against the run the last few weeks. Okay, Eagles kicker Jake Elliott. I love this matchup. Let's throw Jake in the love, playing the Jaguars at home. Monster day for us last week. Felt like Sirianni finally let Elliott kick, and we know Elliott's one of the better kickers in this league, but he just wasn't getting the opportunities to kick. Has a huge week last weekend, and it looks like this Eagles offense has figured some things out, and the Jaguars are an absolute train wreck. The defense is bad. The offense is good enough to put up some points, so we can see the Eagles having to keep pace, but I don't think they're going to do anything too crazy here. Eagles will take their points where they can get them. I love Elliott in this matchup. Just a good offense right now against a very bad defense. Okay, Rams kicker Josh Karty. I'm going to stick him in the if you have to. Interesting matchup in division against the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense has kind of been up and down throughout the season, and the Rams offense has their pieces back. I think this is the big key here. With Puka Nacua back, with Cooper Kupp back, Kyren Williams has been scoring touchdowns every single week. They had 10 days off. I think we're going to see points scored in this game, but I think we're going to see a lot more touchdowns than field goals. I think there just could be a limited opportunity. I think the Rams score. I just don't think they're kicking too many field goals in Seattle in this situation. Plus, weather's always a question in Seattle. Could always turn and be a pouring rainstorm out there. Not something you want to see with a guy like Karty. So if you have to, I think you can play him, but I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't recommend it. I just think the Rams offense gets touchdowns, not field goals this week. Okay, he's Dicker. He's a kicker, and I think he's a fine start this week. Kind of an interesting matchup with the Browns. Browns getting a little bit of new life with Jameis Winston at quarterback, and this Browns defense really hasn't been bad all season if you've watched them. They've just been on the field and kind of hampered by a pathetic offense that can't move the ball. I don't think we're going to see that anymore. I think the Browns defense is going to turn it up. I think the Chargers struggle to move the football in Cleveland, plus could always be nasty conditions out there. I think he's a fine start because the Chargers do struggle in the red zone. They will kick field goals over scoring touchdowns, and Jim Harbaugh will attempt a lot of field goals. I just don't know if they're going to have the opportunities. I think this is an ugly, low-scoring game. We might be looking at a 14-10 game, and that's just not good enough for us. 2 extra points and or a field goal and an extra point. I just think there's too much low-scoring going on here, but it could be good enough. If they only get 9 again, you get 3 field goals. That's a good day from your kicker. So I think Dicker's fine to start. He's been an excellent kicker this year. I just don't love this matchup. Okay, Jason Myers, I'm going to stick him in the fine to start this week also. This is a better matchup. We talked about it just a little bit ago. Playing the Rams defense isn't great at stopping people, and this Seahawks offense has kind of been up and down all over the place. I think we're going to get a much better performance this week against the secondary. If Geno has time to throw the football, he will sling the rock. They will move the ball up and down the field. Now, DK Metcalf probably not playing. That's not ideal. We saw how this offense hurt. They're going to have to run the ball. I think they're going to have to try and keep pace with the Rams, so maybe there is an opportunity where they don't kick on field goals and they pass on it, but I think we're going to see a much better performance from them offensively against a bad Rams defense. So I think Myers is a fine start. Not a super high ceiling, but really not a really low floor either. I think he's just kind of middle of the pack consistent this week. Okay, Brandon McManus. This one's going to depend on who's at quarterback. I'm going to put him in the if you have to, if Jordan Love does not play. I just don't like Malik Willis at quarterback. I know Malik Willis, good record. They struggle to move the football. They can only do one thing, and that's really run the ball, and the Lions have an elite run defense. Now, if Jordan Love plays, I think he's a fine start. He's had back-to-back game-winning kicks, so he's shown he's clutch. That helps. Points are going to be at a premium, and I shouldn't say points are going to be necessary to win this game. You're going to need to score touchdowns, not field goals, to keep up with this Lions offense. I think the Packers are going to be ultra aggressive with Love in at quarterback. So I think it really depends on if Love's in at quarterback. I think he's a fine start, but you might be limited on your field goal opportunities. And if Malik Willis plays, I don't want anything to do with it. I just don't trust it. I don't think they'll be able to get into scoring position enough. Now, the best part is if they do manage to, they will be kicking field goals and probably not scoring touchdowns. I think McManus is just a way too big of a risk play. But if you have him and you don't want to cut him, don't want to lose the roster spot because of how good the offense has been and how reliable he's been, you can start him, keep him, and just kind of limit your expectations with Willis at quarterback. Okay, Bills kicker Tyler Bass. I really like Tyler Bass this week. I think this is a really good matchup. They're playing the Dolphins in Buffalo. But the key thing here is this Bills offense has been absolutely lights out the last few weeks. They are moving the football up and down on teams, and they just can't get, it feels like Dolphins aren't going to stop them. Now, the Dolphins defense isn't the best. It definitely isn't the worst, but it's okay. It's kind of middle of the pack, kind of trending towards that bottom tier. But I just think Buffalo's too good. They scored too many points. Maybe you're limited on your field goals. opportunities, but there's going to be a lot of touchdowns, a lot of points scored. So I think Bass is a good, reliable kicker for you guys. I think he has a very nice week. And if you believe in Tyler Bass as much as I do, head on over to Underdog. Check it out. Tyler Bass's line, over 1.5 field goals. I'm more on over 2.5 extra points. I think the Bills are going to score a lot of touchdowns this week. So check on out over Tyler Bass, over 1.5 field goals. And when you sign up at Underdog using code THECATCH, you'll get our free pick 'em of the week. Got a free pick 'em for Thursday night, but don't worry if you're watching it after. We have free pick 'ems for Sunday, over half a yard for either of those. And when you sign up using code THECATCH, you get up to $1,000 in deposit match. That's using code THECATCH, 50% deposit match, up to $1,000, triple your winnings. Be sure to check out the links down below. Okay, Justin Tucker. Yeah, I'm going to put Justin Tucker in the if you have to. He's been downgraded. He was going through a really rough stretch early in the season. Looked like he figured out, and then kind of another mediocre week. This is kind of a who's going to break first. The Baltimore Ravens are playing the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos defense are allowing the lowest yards per play, but the Ravens offense has the highest yards per play. So something's got to give here. I think this is an ugly game. I don't think we see a lot of field goals. I think we see a couple of touchdowns, and I just don't know if I can trust Tucker. He's not great from 50 plus, as we know the last 2 seasons. And it just feels like they don't necessarily want to rely on him. They are aggressive. They're going to go for it on 4th downs. I can't believe we're at this point. Justin Tucker's an if you have to. I don't really want to play Tucker anymore. I think there's just more consistent, reliable guys out there on offenses that will take field goals. But if you're too attached to Tucker, if you don't want to get rid of Tucker, you can play him. I guess you can keep riding the wave. If you've committed this long, why not keep riding it? But Justin Tucker is a have to, if you have to, start for me this week. Okay, Evan McPherson of the Bengals downgraded from a start every week. I've seen too many missed field goals from Evan McPherson this year, and the Bengals offense has been way too inconsistent and kind of just bad the last few weeks. But I think he's fine to start. They're playing Las Vegas. Vegas, not a great overall defense, but they do tend to do a decent job in the red areas. They will force teams to kick field goals. They can slow you down a bit, and I think we're going to get a better performance out of the Bengals offensively. T. Higgins going down very late in the week kind of screwed up the offensive plans, I think. So McPherson is a fine start in my book. I just think overall, it's hard to trust this Bengals team. Like I said, we never know what we're going to get week in and week out. The matchup's good. The Bengals offense should move the football, but it's a big but. And McPherson has just missed too many kicks for my liking this year to be up on that upper echelon tier. So if you got McPherson, if you don't want to cut McPherson, you're still going to ride him. He's a fine start this week. I think he's a better start than Tucker overall, but just, don't be surprised if McPherson misses a kick or 2. And finally, to wrap it up, Joey Slye, let's put him right back into the bench category. I know they're playing the Tennessee Titans, but Jacoby Brissett is in at quarterback most likely. If Drake May plays, I think we can upgrade Slye to an if you have to. But against, with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, I know the Titans defense is not great. They just got killed by the Lions. I just think this Patriots offense is horrid. So if you have to start him, I mean, you can. I don't know why he's on your roster at this point, but we got to do it. We're ranking 25 guys, certain other guys, but that's going to do it for us this week. Let me know in the comments down below if you got any kicker questions. I'll be answering them throughout the week. If you haven't already, drop a quick like on this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We got new daily fantasy football content for you guys every single day. I mean, we got all the things you could possibly need. Your must-start running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends for every single matchup, your waiver wire targets, your boomer bust guys for the weekends. We're having live streams throughout the week answering all your questions. Be sure to leave a comment if you got any concerns on one of the videos. Again, check out the links down below if you haven't already. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you all tomorrow.